Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first qualifier of the Wind Waker Randomizer Spoiler Log Tournament. My name is Halcyon Haley, and joining me is Crystal Bellis. Hello, Crystal. How are you doing today?
Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well, Haley. So I hope everybody's ready for this spoiler log race today. This is our first qualifier, which is pretty exciting. Sorry about that. Oh, and we have our file name, which means we are going to be starting here soon enough. Fun stuff. So, for everybody that does not know, we have different presets for these races, and today our wonderful bot has rolled us lookout platforms and rafts. We're not going to be seeing a lot of rafts, but we're going to be seeing a lot of lookout platforms today. And it looks like they are off. Do they get prep time? So we received the spoiler log about an hour before the race started. And they use that time in order to make a route and get everything together.
Okay, I was having some technical difficulties, but it seems like everything is fine now. So hello again. Hi, Crystal.
Hi, Haley.
Let's see. They spawned at Six Eye Reef, and I can't necessarily tell where they're both sailing to. It looks like they're going to the same place, though.
I'm assuming they are as well. Let's see.
Okay, I believe that this is the Stonewatcher lookout platform, which makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. It is required. And it is right there. It's just one quadrant over.
Yeah, so here with the spawn at Six Eye Reef, you kind of have two options, really, for if you're going to do anything with where you're spawning. There's this check here at Stonewatcher, which you don't need anything for. Like, we don't start with anything. They don't even have a sword. So everything that they're doing right now. Yeah, so here we're going to pick up our grappling hook. Yeah, the other option was to sail to Private Oasis, which is also just a one quadrant sail, where they could have picked up something else.
That is very true. We'll probably see that in a little bit, since they are both warping to the same place. Alright, and it looks like they're both going to Cliff Plateau. Not to go check the cave, but they're going to go check the lookout platform that's around in this area, since there is an item that we kind of need here.
Yeah, 1 hour of routing time for these seeds can either be plenty, or it can be kind of similar to this seed, which I would imagine that these runners were crunched for time as they were routing.
Yeah, this routing this was it was something else. But now with bombs.
Pretty confusing seed, but a lot of times what can happen if you run out of time near the end of routing is you just don't route your dungeons, and then you have the spoiler log open while you're in the dungeon, and you kind of route on the fly. Both of these runners are very experienced and can do stuff like that, so.
Where are my small keys at?
Yeah, exactly. Like you check for your small keys, see if the big key is on the way, etc., etc. Yeah, and because these runners have taken identical routes up until this point, we can tell that J-Wist has the ever so slightest lead, but anything can happen.
Oh yeah, we just started. We're 3 minutes in. So who knows? They could take, drastically different routes later on. And if someone can pull out ahead or not,
Yeah, see, and if they continue to take the same route, we'll see like little tradesies like what just happened. Like J-Wist had a lead arriving to Bird's Peak Rock, but Gymnast got the grapple clip into the cave first try, whereas J-Wist took a second try, so that's, I think, what makes Spoiler Log so much more skill-based than, I guess, your classic rando. Execution just becomes so much more important.
Right, because you're depending less on luck and where you might find an item. Since you already know where all the items are, you're basically going, all right.
Right, exactly. And so it just comes down to how good your route was and how good your gameplay ends up being.
Right.
Yeah, both of these runners have a very vast knowledge of all the tricks and things that they can do in the game, so I'm sure that they had some similar ideas and tricks up their sleeves for this seed.
It looks like Jim has opted to pick up the sword that was on the Flora's mail, which is one of the pearls that we need, while he was here at Bird's Peak, and Jay is opting to, I'm guessing, to check it here, at the Fairy Island.
Yeah, this is a little strange, actually, because there's nothing in Thorn for J-Wist, so I'm wondering if this was an accident on his part, just forgot to pick up the mail and decided to come here instead because he needed the sword for his route.
He might be here to pick up the lookout platform.
Right, but if you're going to sail to the lookout platforms, it still would have been more optimal to check the mailbox at BPR.
Right.
Ever so slightly, but...
yeah. I'm not saying you're not wrong. I'm just saying,
I get it, yeah.
We're trying to get into Jay's brain right now.
True. My money's on accident, but yeah, storage is allowed in this. There are only a select handful of glitches that aren't allowed.
So Haley, where do you think our runners are going to pick up a fairy from? Because we do need a fairy at some point.
You know, that's a pretty good question. I think that it's probably wise this seed to try to wait to get a fairy at the end of a dungeon, whether it be, I imagine the first dungeon that they will finish will probably be
Forbidden Woods.
Forbidden Woods, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So there's a fairy at the end of Forbidden Woods, a fairy at the end of DRC, either of which I think are good options, just depends on where our runners decide to go first.
Right.
But like alternatively, we are gonna make a few stops to, like we just went to Thorn Ferry. I think that we are going to at least one other ferry island quadrant, which we can have access to with bombs. It's not so terribly slow to pick up a ferry in the fountain itself if it just works better for your route.
Yeah, we'll probably see. We might see a fairy at the end of the dungeon. If they remember. Hopefully they wrote it in their route. Or they won't forget to pick up.
True. This platform is pretty nifty, has a couple things for us. So we picked up our Picto Box as well as Nehru's Pearl. So you'll notice that our runners are collecting the pearls as they go, but Tower of the Gods is not one of our required dungeons. So that means we'll be taking a look in the Tachi entrance, which is not Tower of the Gods itself.
Yeah, all our entrances are randomized. The dungeons and the caves are all randomized together. So Taji is not at where you normally think Taji is at. It's somewhere else, and where the Tachi entrance is, there's something else that we need to get to. So we need to collect all the pearls.
Yeah, a part of like routing spoiler log races, I think that a lot of runners don't necessarily like when something like this happens, where you have to collect like 3 extra items just so you can have access to an entrance. The other one that kind of blows is if ankle is required, because that adds 5 items that you need to pick up along the way. Both of our runners are still pretty much holding hands. Hasn't been
really
any,
are.
No deviation from one another quite yet.
I'm not surprised. They're both top runners of this game. I'd be more surprised when they actually do start to diverge their routes.
Yeah, me as well, because then at that point, there's usually a definitive answer in terms of like who chose the most optimal routing.
Yeah, right now it's all coming down to execution.
Right. So yeah, both of our runners still holding hands on their way to Rockspire.
They're, you know, holding hands never hurt anybody. Oh my goodness, and Jim has just been knocked down from where he was standing. So just small stuff like this, you can tell that, because now Jay's just ahead by a little amount, I guess. Good chunk.
I think that this is our first instance this seed of actually seeing the randomized entrances in play. If you're familiar with Wind Waker, you'll recognize this interior as Bomb Island Cave. We did not enter this cave on Bomb Island. We are at Rockspire, so.
We entered Bird's Peak Rock and Cliff Plateau was there.
Oh, you know what? You make such a good point. This is our second example.
This is our second. This is the first one we're actually like saying something about it, though. But yeah, everywhere our runners go is gonna have some form of purpose. Like, you're not gonna see runners going out of their way to go get something. This is all very streamlined.
Yeah, typically top runners like J-Wist and Gymnast aren't gonna route in conveniences either necessarily. For instance, picking up like the magic meter upgrade is very helpful. Quivers are also very helpful, but unless it's like super duper on your way.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure there is a quiver on the way, but like they probably won't pick it up.
Right, it just depends. Like, so the quiver, this seed is in Dragon Roost, but it's so far out of the way in the dungeon itself that even that isn't like worth your time. I do imagine we will see the magic meter upgrade. I'm guessing. But yeah, with both of our runners getting bottle pretty early, you can imagine that Grandma is, you know, required, that they're not just rushing for soup.
Like, Grandma is always, you know, look, I'm afraid I need soup in my life.
I guess she's always required, depending on your perspective of Grandma, no matter what her item is.
Some people have different perspectives than the rest of us do.
This is very true.
But it doesn't matter because today we need Grandma.
Yeah, today we don't get a choice. If you want to beat this seed, you're saving Grandma, whether you like it or not. Thank goodness we collected all 3 pearls so that we could come to the Diamond Step Cave.
Oh man, you're so right. It does have something that we kind of want, only a little bit, you know? It's only kind of helpful.
Okay, they're both taking different routes through Diamond Step. Yeah, I mean, wow, I'm actually surprised. So clearly what Jay-Wiz did was, you know, faster than what Gymnast did because we just saw the 2 side by side. So I imagine most runners who are routing the seed probably did what Gymnast did, but it looks like Jay-Wiz knew that pot back there would take him directly to the chest that we needed to get, so which would be like vanilla strats, right? And I feel like more often than not, if you're doing something vanilla, you're, you know, it's not usually faster.
You're usually going a little bit slower than what we normally do. Because what Jay did is what we normally do when we route Diamond Step, since we can grab that chest and get the second chest pretty quickly too.
Right, yeah. So, sailing in Randomizer, you'll notice, again, if you've seen maybe speed runs of the standard definition version of the game, you'll notice that the sailing is very, very, very slow. But
so slow.
It's so slow. So, the developers of the Randomizer were nice enough to give us the swift sail, but even just sailing with your sail out is still slower than, like, you'll see Jay-Wiz right now is doing what we call sail jumping. You pull out the swift sail. I don't know what the frame window is, but you basically pull out the swift sail and jump at the same time, and you get a speed boost. The longer that you're in the air, the better, basically, is the longer you keep that speed boost. And both of our runners are doing, well, it looks like Jim does a little bit of a combo between sail jumping and sail pumping. So both are just going to speed up, you know, traveling from quadrant to quadrant. And sail jumping optimally is what we know to be the fastest way to travel with the boat.
And if you see Jim when he's sail pumping, you can see King Red Lions just slightly move ahead more. Like, you can see him just jerk forward a little bit, and that's that's the speed boost that we're talking about.
Right, yeah. Every time you pull out the sail, it gives you the little boost. So that's why we, you know, put away the sail, take out the sail repeatedly.
Oh man, Jim was gonna blow up all those flowers.
I didn't notice on Jay-Wist's side, but there is a fairy here in these flowers on Private Oasis that is an RNG drop. So I'm actually, I don't know if I'm surprised that either of them went for it, but
yeah, it's something else. Since it's probably RNG, they're probably not gonna go for it. Because
if you don't get it, then it's just
you're
time
just
lost.
losing. Yeah, you're just losing time, and you already know there's fairies. There's guaranteed fairies later on in this.
Right. Yeah. No, so one of the things that we tend to do with spoiler log settings, as well as just traditional randomizer settings, is to eliminate things that are RNG heavy, such as Sploosh Kaboom and Auction. It's actually against the rules for the runners to pick up items on Sploosh Kaboom and auction for that reason, that they're so RNG heavy, and you could just get so disgustingly lucky with something like that.
Right, like I think in this scene there was a quiver, which is a really nice convenience item to have since you get 60 arrows. That's on Sploosh Kaboom, but since we have Bandit, you're not allowed to get it.
Yeah, sometimes the community likes to do all sanity races, and so that, you know, all sanity would include Sploosh Kaboom and auction. Sometimes people will just get like the item in auction first try, and then others will be stuck there for 3 or more tries. So then you're just eating the time loss at that point. It's totally luck based.
So I'm not sure if I saw, but I know Jim just farms for some rupees where they just were, but I don't think Jay did, which is fair since Jay had more money than Jim. But you know, money is king in this, since we do need some.
True, we do need some. They both have very similar amounts of rupees right now. I don't know the exacts, but so we're gonna have to be, or we're gonna have to mail. Or no, we don't need to mail anything, but we need to like get things from the mail, like grandma is required, and so we'll need to use the mailbox for that, and we need to do trading, Zunari, so stuff like that will cost rupees.
Yeah, it can get kind of expensive around here.
It can be a little pricey, especially when you're in the middle of running your seed and you realize that you forgot to route in rupees, which is something that, you know, it's happened to me.
When in doubt, if you're collecting tingle statues, Ankle will give you 50 rupees per tingle statue.
True. So yeah, not surprising, Gymnast is following J-Wist by not that much, both taking their first trip to Windfall.
Yeah, at this point, if they go anywhere else, it's gonna be surprising, honestly.
Okay, this is actually something that I was very curious about. You'll notice that in the left chest, well, J-Wist picked up Iron Boots, which are hard required because we have Wind Temple this seed, and you need Iron Boots to get to the final boss, who has a Triforce shard for us. But in the right chest, J-Wist also picked up the Ghost Ship chart, which will take us on a little adventure to find the Ghost Ship, which doesn't necessarily have a required item, but it's just going to help us a bit more, I would say.
Speaking of, since Haley did mention that one of our wonderful bosses has a shard, so we have race mode on, and what that means is that, at least for these settings, there's going to be 3 dungeons in Logic. Each one that is in Logic will have a Triforce shard at the end when you kill the boss. The other 3 will have nothing. There's going to be nothing required in there at all. So, in this case, Taji, Forsaken Fortress, and Earth Temple have nothing in it that we will ever need or want. But
yeah, a common question we get is...
what does Wind Temple do?
Right, exactly. A common question we get is if non-race mode dungeons can still have items, but not necessarily something on the boss. That's not the case, like you might see in other randomizers. So... there was absolutely nothing in Tower of the Gods, Forsaken Fortress, and Earth Temple, so they're guaranteed dead.
So I think Jay forgot to pick up his fire and ice arrows. Looks like he was getting set up to line up the lighthouse.
You know, he's gonna try to use the item that he hasn't quite picked up yet, so...
That happens sometimes.
This will give Gymnast a little bit of a chance to catch up a bit. Thank you for pointing that out, actually. So when we see Jaywist go to the ghost ship to pick up the item that's there, I'll explain a bit more why it's interesting that he decided to pick up that item, and it looks like Gymnast did not. So that's actually so interesting. That's a really big that's actually very crazy that this is happening.
Because it does have a helpful item. Don't get us wrong. It has something helpful.
So this is a cool trick here that Jaywist is doing. In the vanilla game, you're expected to ride on the windmill, you know, and then shoot the lighthouse that way, but you can snipe the lighthouse from all the way down here so that we're right next to the chest that we're picking up.
And we have all our bows. We only need 3 bows. They're all progressive. So now we just have light arrows.
So the spoiler log contains basically just a list of all of the locations that are in logic for the randomizer and like the items that are in those respective locations, if that makes sense. I probably just explained that without using English, but it is basically just going to tell you where all the items are, like in which chests, and it'll let you know what the randomized entrances are as well. Tells you your starting island. So basically everything that these runners need to make a complete route is going to be in the spoiler log.
Yeah, it tells you where everything is, like what you need in order to get certain things, like. So we have what we call spheres, and each sphere will, like items that you get in one sphere will unlock another set of items that you can get somewhere else. That probably also did not make sense, so you know what?
It's so much harder to explain than I thought, yeah.
And we're in good company because
it's a really big list.
Big list. Oh, and speaking of ghost ship, so Jay just picked up Boomerang, which Jim is opting to not get since he did not pick up Ghost Ship chart.
My mind is actually so blown right now. So they have Forbidden Woods in logic, and typically there's like a little bit of like a mental debate you do when you're routing a seed that has Forbidden Woods in logic, like whether or not the time sink to pick up the boomerang is going to be worth it to speed up the process of going through Forbidden Woods. But this seed, gosh, there's a chest that we have required this seed. I'm not going to give away too much, but there is a chest in Forbidden Woods that you either need the boomerang or the hook shot to get access to. And you'll notice that we don't have the hook shot yet. We probably are not going to see it for a while. So Gymnast not picking up the ghost ship chart and hence won't be able to get the boomerang. It means that he's forcing himself into a situation where he'll need, actually there's 3 options, either the hook shot or chest storage to get that chest I'm talking about. So
it also speeds up the boss of Forbidden Woods as well, depending on how well you're able to kill the boss without boomerang.
Right, yeah, there are also a few options we have for killing Kalidemos, the boss of Forbidden Woods. And we were both wrong in thinking that we would see Forbidden Woods first. We are in Dragon Roost Cavern.
we're just we don't have the same mind as Jim and Jay apparently.
No, we don't. So my mind is going like a million miles per hour. Jaywist just did a cool trick. If you have the bow in Dragon Roost Cavern, and you see Gymnast is doing it right now, you can actually hit the ropes with arrows all the way from down here, we have a cute little setup that we like to use in order to make the shots more consistent. So it'll just help speed up the process of going through the dungeon as opposed to climbing up the vanilla way.
Yeah. Considering that, I'm not sure, I can't exactly remember. I would have to like pull up the spoiler log again, but I'm not exactly sure. But in Randomizer, you can have a small key in the big key chest, and that's slow because that's pretty far away. Like, it's pretty far on your way in order to get that. So shooting down the platform really helps.
So yeah, both of our runners looks like took, you know, you basically have two options when you're quote unquote go moding Dragon Roost Cavern, aka you're just taking the quickest route possible to get to the boss and you don't need to pick up anything along the way. So there are two ways in which you could do that. You could do what Jaywis did, which is go through the room called Under Rope Bridge, that room, which is, I believe, what was timed to be the fastest way to get to Goma. Gymnast took a different route, which is, I believe, slightly slower, but I don't know how big the difference is.
I don't think it's that much time. I don't exactly remember off the top of my head.
It's very close, but I am certain that the one route is definitively faster than the other. And so what they just did with chest storage there is skipping, needing to get the boss key.
Right, and both of them opted to pick up double magic. Jim stored it, and Jay just picked it up.
Yeah, I do remember that double magic was in that room, but I think there was something else in the left chest as well.
It was Skullhammer.
Oh, Skullhammer, yeah, that's right. So both of our runners should have that.
I think Jim only stored brick chest. I don't think he picked up left.
Jim is making some. This is just getting more and more interesting the more items that we're seeing Gymnast skip and Jaywis pick up along the way.
Oh yeah, and Jim didn't grab a fairy and Jay did, so I'm guessing Jim is either gonna grab a fairy in Forbidden Woods later, or I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Welcome in, Raiders. We are in the middle of the first qualifier for the Wind Waker Randomizer Spoiler Log Tournament. I'm curious if Gymnast forgot to pick up the fairy. I don't want to speculate.
Maybe.
But
I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know Jim's route, whether he decided to do or not.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head, Crystal, what we really need Skullhammer for this seed.
I don't know, honestly.
my immediate thought was, Wind Temple, you need Skullhammer to access the vanilla entrance to Wind Temple, but Wind Temple is not there, so guess we'll just have to see.
I have no idea, honestly.
Skullhammer is obviously not required for anything in Forbidden Woods, so... Oh, okay, so yeah, Wizrobe mini-boss.
That's right.
That's right. Was racking my brain trying to think of...
I just couldn't think of it. I was like, there's no way that...
Yeah, you can still get the item without the skull hammer, but in order to leave a room in Wind Temple, you need the skull hammer to be able to do that. So again, Gymnast forcing himself into a very specific situation where he'll have to save warp out, but you know. Well, you know, come to think of it, there might be a chest storage way, actually, to just hit the loading zone.
I think so.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. That'll be... I'll keep that note in the back of my mind. Yeah, the hammer peg.
Jim is in our second dungeon, Forbidden Woods, and it looks like Jay is off to go save Grandma.
Yeah, so basically the only reason we're seeing like this slight divergence right now is because Gymnast like didn't pick up a fairy and therefore doesn't have the option right now to come save Grandma. So I imagine that he's waiting till the end of Forbidden Woods to pick up that fairy. So he'll be here later.
Yes, but now Grandma's gonna give us one of the best convenience items in this entire game. Soup. Which is very nice since it doubles our attack, it refills all our hearts, and it refills our magic. And normally when you have soup, you have two uses of soup. And but there's a trick in this game that we do called soup, and it just allows us to have infinite soup. As long as we perform the trick correctly, since we are swapping over the button that our soup is on. It's like, hey, you drank this soup, but it's not there anymore. Oh well, you're just gonna keep it.
So if you've been paying attention to Gymnast's side of the screen like I have, you'll notice that he is not doing the dungeon vanilla even remotely, because with chest storage we can just climb up so many of the walls in Forbidden Woods. It makes it very fast. So I'll be curious to see if Gymnast goes for either bomb strats on Kalidemos or fire arrow strats.
He might try for fire arrow strats at first, and then go for bomb strats.
So what Gymnast just did right there is basically another way to get storage called bomb push storage. You could get a Wind Waker dive off of a chest by pushing yourself with the bomb. So
it looks like we're gonna go for bomb strats.
yeah, if you aren't really practiced with the fire arrow strats on Kalidemos, it can be hard to tell if you're able to do it or not. It is cycle based, so if Kalidemos is like positioned in such a way where I don't know what you'd call it, like one of Kalidemos' like little spikes is like facing toward you, then the fire arrow is not going to be able to hit Kalidemos. So.
And that was a nice kill on Gymnast's side. Very, very nice. That can be kind of difficult sometimes, since it depends on the timing of the throw and where the bomb goes, and it's something else. But he got it really quickly.
I too would love to see forest water strats on Kalidemos one day. I highly doubt we'll ever see it, so If you don't know what forest water is, basically it's just the water that you can pick up in your bottle that's in the forest haven, like where you talk to the Deku tree. And if you pour it on Kalidamos, it kills Kalidamos in one shot just with that like pour of forest water. So the reason that we don't see that very often is because it's so much faster to go into Forbidden Woods without going through the entirety of Forest Haven. Right, so yeah, this is what I was... Hold on a second. This is troublesome. I need to check something real fast.
I think it's pretty. I'm not sure, because Jim is committing to double dipping. I think.
Yeah.
Forbidden Woods.
So.
And DRC, I think.
Yeah, this is a bit of an uh-oh for Jim, I think, in my opinion. So this is why I made such a big deal out of Jay was picking up the boomerang earlier, is because, like, this is how he's able to get this chest right here, the big key chest in Forbidden Woods, and you'll notice it has the note to Mom, which is hard required this seed. So if Jim wants to be able to beat this seed, he's going to have to come back to Forbidden Woods at some point to pick up the note to Mom. And it's not, when he was in Forbidden Woods just now, it's not like he didn't have the option to get that chest, right? So I talked about, so what Jay did was the vanilla way. You use the boomerang to just like hit all the switches, it opens the door. You can also hook shot the chest. We don't have the hook shot. There is a chest storage way. You can get into that little area, so he's gonna have to go back, basically.
But yeah, no, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts. He's going back eventually. I wonder if he's gonna eventually use the cross dungeon warpot, since we know that. Well, I guess he's in Wind Temple right now, so we're gonna see if he's gonna need that skull hammer or not in DRC.
Yeah. So the thing is, we do have cross dungeon warpots, but we've kind of like exhausted their use already because both runners have already been to Forbidden Woods and Dragon Roost Cavern, and the two, I guess, like sets of inter-dungeon warp pots link Dragon Roost Cavern, Forbidden Woods, and Tower of the Gods. So the inter-dungeon warp pot that's here in Wind Temple isn't going to be very useful to us, and it's not going to take us back to Forbidden Woods.
It's not going to take us back. Yeah. So like Haley mentioned, the cross dungeon warp pots. There's two like different routes, I guess. That's a way of putting it. So Dragon Roost, Cavern, Forbidden Woods, and Pot G are all connected together, and Forsaken Fortress, Earth Temple, and Wind Temple are connected together. And you can't use like the Wind Temple one to go back to Forbidden Woods, like Haley just mentioned, and vice versa.
So yeah, like I talked about earlier, Jay-Wist is going for the fire arrow strat here. I know that Jay-Wist actually was the person who found that strat, actually, so he's very comfortable with it because he, you know, did all the testing and whatever for it. But it looks like he had a bad cycle, so he's just opting to kill Kalidamos the vanilla way.
Did Jim just go back to pick up Makar and then just leave Makar again?
I'm not sure. I was so confused. I was so entertained by the beautiful flower that we were, you know, chopping up with our sword. So,
Scythiel, I don't think Jim got the blue warp pot. I don't think he did. I don't think either of our runners have opened up any cross dungeon warp pots at all.
Gosh, and I forgot to look to see if Jim has picked up a fairy.
He did.
Oh, he did. Okay.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Okay, thank you.
If Jim didn't pick up a fairy, it would have been that's just a route at that point.
Oh yeah, Scythiel. I'm 99% certain that Gymnast did open that pot.
Yeah, then he's probably planning on making a trip back. Oh, he got stuck.
I've not seen that before.
That was so interesting.
It looks like he got stuck on like the collision of the metal like framing in the wall.
That was wild.
So this is the room that we were so concerned about earlier. The room that you do need the skull hammer to be able to leave. If I'm not mistaken, you can store this chest and walk into the door and hit the loading zone that way, but I'm not totally sure that that's possible. I'm pretty sure, but I'm not totally sure. We're about to find out, I guess.
Maybe Jim just has something up his sleeves that we just don't know about Haley.
That's what I'm thinking. Well, he's positioned himself in such a way that he's just gonna open it.
I guess we're just no, we're stopping it. Man, you know, he positioned himself and then we just got hit with the debate.
And that's funny. Yeah, so I guess like I said, you just okay, so that's how that works. I guess if you're super comfortable with your bomb push storage, like that was technically faster than picking up the hammer that was in GRC, because you are able to skip 2 cutscenes actually of like when Link turns around to show you the item that he gets in a chest. So he was able to skip the one for the skull hammer, as well as the one for the hook shot that we just stored into the vanilla location.
Yeah, so it was that's what we were talking about earlier. So hookshot is just in a gross spot this seed.
That is, man, he kind of stole the hookshot's thunder a little bit. Hookshot was vanilla in the chest that Gymnast just stored. That's where you get the hookshot in the vanilla game.
It's so bad.
Yeah, that is certainly a hookshot spot. So this part is a little scary here. Oh, okay.
Jim just went for that.
Yeah, there are a couple of ways you can get through this room with chest storage. That was one of 2 ways, I guess, that I know of. You just kind of throw yourself into that second fan and then either jump slash or leaf pump out of the wind. Or there's a slightly safer way that we're going to see Jay Whisk do here in a little bit, where you jump slash onto the metal part of that second frame, and you don't need to, you know, make it a timing type trick, you know? It's easier to mess up.
So Jim is fighting the best boss because it has the best music in the game.
This is our token cat jam music right here.
we just love to jam out to this song. It goes chicka.
It does go chicka, huh?
It's like a train, you know? Trains go chicka.
Yeah, I'd say that you're right. So I guess something maybe that I should have noted earlier, you'll notice that both runners throughout the Wind Temple have been using the command melody, like what Jay was just played right there. This is the only dungeon in the entire game where the command melody actually is just hard required. Like there are no glitches or tricks or anything that we can use to get around it like we can in the Earth Temple or in the Tower of the Gods. And it has to do with barred doors, basically. We don't know how to get around.
Yeah, barred doors are our enemies in this dungeon. Anything else, like there's stones that in other places and like large gaps. Barred doors are just our worst enemy.
So if you missed what happened on Jay Whisk's side, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong about like how this like technically technically works, but loading zones, how they work in this game is I want to say they infinitely extend upwards. So if you leaf above a loading zone, the game is just gonna think that like you hit the loading zone. And so that's how J-Wist was able to skip the small key that you would need in the vanilla game to get into the mini boss room.
So Jim is like kind of unlucky, kind of not at the same time. He's able to pick up that shard, but the shards spawn where you normally warp out. Depends on where Mulgara eventually dies. And so there is the potential. Jim was really close actually to be in that little area where you leave. And if you're in that area, you'll automatically get warped away. And it's so sad because you have to come back later to get that shard since we do need all the shards.
Yeah, I know that some people are really afraid of that happening, actually. And so there's a pot that you can open up that's right next to the boss door. But the thing in spoiler log about that is that typically we don't pick up the big key. So
it's just really rough if that happens.
Yeah, so either you have to go, you open that pot and then you're like, okay, well, if this happens, I need to go get the big key and then return that way. Or you go mode the dungeon again with chest storage. So here's Jim's second trip to FW, as we were expecting. So he doesn't have the boomerang still, right? So this is one way that you can get to the basement of the Forbidden Woods without the boomerang. What Gymnast just did right there is called a bomb ledge clip. And basically how it works is you're trying to like occupy that same side. You're trying to occupy, he's gonna do it again right here. So he's gonna place the bomb, backflip, leaf, and then right there he tapped the control stick left into the bomb and the bomb basically pushes you out of bounds. Yeah.
So Haley, I think we failed to mention the most important trick that we do in this game, which is storage.
Chest storage or storage, yeah.
No, chest storage. I mean, chest storage is still pretty important, but in order to get chest storage, you have to do storage. So basically, when you pull out the Wind Waker, you can see the little hub that appears where you play the song that you want. And we're able to store that little, I can't say it's a cutscene, but I think it's a cutscene. I'm not really good at explaining this. I'm sure Haley...
It's okay.
Look, it's a hard trick it's kind of a hard trick to explain.
There are lots of good videos out there if you want to understand, why it really works. But basically, you pull out the Wind Waker, and if you cancel it a few frames before you hit the ground, you can store that state, is why we call it storage. You store that state of Link pulling out the Wind Waker, and we're able to abuse that property. Like, we can open chests when we have that storage property, and you can store the chest opening cutscene, and it makes Link's hitbox really small, is why we're able to, walk up walls and stuff like that. So, yeah. I also wish I had that ability.
You know, making my hitbox incredibly small where I can climb up mountains and walls is pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie.
Fit through really small spaces, yeah. Yeah, so even though Gymnast's second trip to Forbidden Woods was pretty short, it was still a second trip, which you really want to avoid. You know, in a lot of instances, there are hardly any instances where double dipping somewhere is, optimal.
It's slow.
Yeah, so here they had to basically weigh the decision, right? Okay, what's gonna be better? Getting the ghost ship chart and having to take a trip to the ghost ship, which involves climbing the cycle, right? The ghost ship is somewhere different every night, so you need to think about how you're gonna route that in. Versus waiting until you get the hook shot to do your second trip to FW. So figuring out questions like that and is really the key to these races, right? A little decision like that can determine whether or not you win a race when both runners have just like amazing execution, like J-Wist and Gymnast.
So Hero Shield is required at the end of the game. Zelda has to shoot a light arrow at your shield in order to stun Ganon before you get the final blow. And you need at least one shield. You don't even have mirror shields. There's two shields. There's hero shield and mirror shield. You only need the hero shield in order to deflect that arrow.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. What a lot of people will accidentally do, and like, pretty sure I've done, like, one of my first spoiler logs that I ever routed, I showed up to Ganon, like, without a shield.
You just people arrived, and you're like, all right, Zelda.
Zelda, I'm ready. Wait a second.
I'm ready. And then you're like, oh, no.
Yeah, something missing here. But you do need at least one shield, but luckily the shields are progressive, so you just pick whichever one you feel is easier for you to get. It doesn't matter which one you get, in which order.
Yes, as long as you have one shield. For getting shields is probably the biggest thing that will happen in spoiler log races, because you're so used. Because usually we'll have a shield in our standard races or pretty much any other race, and you'll just see runners forget to get it.
Yeah, I think, in the last spoiler log tournament that we had, the runners started with sword and shield, so that wasn't even something that they even had to think about. So this is the first time, I think, in a tournament setting that we've done something like this. Yeah. Zunari with our final upgrade of the Master Sword.
So yeah, so Jay has pretty much all the items that he needs. He has all of his swords, he has all his bows, he has hookshot, has all his shards. But since he's missing that shield, he has to go get that first before he's able to go and defeat Ganon.
Oh gosh, so I'm just now realizing this, that Gymnast has the lead going into Hyrule.
He does. I'm pretty sure that is go mode for Jim. No? What's he missing? No, never mind. He accidentally almost looked at Great Fish. It confused me a little bit.
The debate. So, wow, I'm actually quite a bit surprised, actually, because neither runner really made like any execution errors, and so I guess the fact that Gymnast like took that second trip to FW, like, it was actually better than getting.
Oh no, it was.
I really feel like that's the only that's the biggest difference between their route. Oh, you know what? Person in chat brings up a really good point that when J-Wist was on Windfall, he did forget to pick up the fire and ice arrows. This is pretty similar to like that amount of time that like the lead the Gymnast has is like that trip to pick up fire and ice arrows like is a big chunk of this lead that Gymnast has right now. So it's hard to say definitively, I guess, right now, whether Gymnast's decision to double dip FW was better or not.
Yeah, also Jay went to go ship to go get Boomerang, but
yeah, that's the biggest route difference is that trip to the go ship.
Yeah, but honestly, I think it shows that even just making little mistakes, because honestly, Jay forgetting fire and ice, it wasn't that big of a deal. It's kind of like
in spoiler log, right? Like
when spoiler log, it's so big. Like it's so big when it comes down to execution.
Yeah, most of these races at the end of the day, it is, you know, largely who can make the best route. But like we saw today that like they were holding hands for a big chunk of it. you know, top runners are going to make pretty similar routing decisions. So it really does just come down to execution at the end of the day. And we do see it's more common in spoiler log races to have races that are like within like less than a minute of each other, less than 2 minutes within each other is very common to see. So the little things, they really do add up.
Yes, and we're almost done. The only thing that's preventing us from winning is Puppet Ganon and Ganon himself. And we do have Soup for this. Since Soup was required, we do have Soup. So that's gonna speed things up. Jim does have 4 hearts. I think Jim stored... I think he might have stored a heart container somewhere, which is pretty... Either that or you got the... I don't think he got 4 heart pieces, though. So I think he might have stored...
Oh, no. Definitely stored a heart container somewhere. I'm just not sure where.
So it's really interesting to think about, because normally you'll see runners going with 3 hearts, like Jay is. And with this, Jim has 4. So it gives him a bit more wiggle room. With some of the damage he can take. It's not a lot. It's not a lot, but I'm just saying it's definitely
the 3 heart PG fight and Ganon fight really is just a spoiler log special, right? Like these runners really just need to know how to like do those fights without taking very much damage, and both of these runners do. So I can't imagine that. Death is a very big concern.
I'm not saying that they're gonna die, I mean, unless we're commentating in before we actually like commentate or curse both of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Gymnast getting a little bit of unfortunate RNG with Puppet Ganon here.
Yeah, his tail swinging is kind of weird sometimes.
I feel like it was more so the fact that still
Puppet, yeah.
But like when Puppet Ganon like moves toward you too much, you really just can't really get like a clear shot on the tail.
It's awful. He can like get right on top of you, and you can't aim. Like you can't hit the tail. It's so sad. But that was a quick phase 1, and that means we're going on to phase 2. And I think Jim's definitely gonna go for a trick here that we call Crypt Shot. He'll probably also go for what we call double crypt, which is crypt shot, but you get it twice. And so you basically line yourself up, and you're trying to hit the little bulb at an angle where it hits Puppet Ganon's body, because when you hit Puppet Ganon's body, you're able to instantly reload an arrow, as opposed to when you hit the wall. And you got crypt shot there. But when the light arrow hits the wall, you have to wait for the animation to finish of the light arrow like disappearing, all the particles are gone.
Oh, so Jay was missing double crypt there is actually pretty bad, because that could have really closed the lead that Jim has quite a bit more. Both runners have had very similar Puppet Ganon fights.
Yeah. And that was Puppet Ganon 3. Jim opted to stun Puppet Ganon with a quick spin instead of something like bombs. Bombs stun for a longer period of time, but you actually have to hit him with a bomb, and that can be kind of difficult sometimes. And with quick spins, you don't have as long, so you have to be kind of more precise with where you're going.
And something can happen, like what just happened to Jaywist. Like he still technically hit the front of Puppet Ganon with a quick spin, but he also got hit in the process. So like you didn't really see the completion of the quick spin, but it still counts.
Yeah. And that was a nice fast rope climb from Jim.
So we'll have to see if Zelda is relatively nice to Gymnast today?
Hopefully she is. Zelda can be kind of mean sometimes. She can take like a long time in order to like charge up her arrow, or it's just rough.
Blink and you miss it, but Jim is already done with phase 1 of Ganon with a fully powered Master Sword and Soup, which gives us double damage. It's very easy to one cycle phase 1 of Ganon and phase 2.
Yeah, I say he was done with phase 2 when he said phase 1.
And that's GG's to Gymnast 86.
GG. Finishing with a time of 1:02:51. Very, very nice.
And not too far behind him is J-Wist.
Alrighty, and that is also GG for Jay. Finishing with a time of 1:03:25. So a very close race between these two top runners.
Yeah, the execution, like as you know, is to be expected from, you know, J-Wist and Gymnast. Execution was just, you know, great. Like I can't think of any like we talked about, the most tragic mistake was just forgetting Fire and Ice arrows on Windfall, but that's not necessarily like an execution error, more so like mental.
Right. And joined by Jay. GG. And we are also joined by Jim. GG to both of you.
GG.
Yeah, that was a close race between you two. You're both pretty much holding hands the entire time.
Let's see, how did routing go for both of you? Because when I was reading over the spoiler log, I found it to be not the nicest seed necessarily, but I just want to hear what you guys think about it.
It was interesting because you had to go to like every so like when I was routing, I was expecting to get Ghost Ship at Bomb, so it threw off my route a lot when it was at Diamond Step. So I just improvised a lot of it.
Yeah, I basically, at least at the beginning, just tried to chain as many nearby islands together as possible with just like all of the lookout platforms that were either just open or you just had to like defeat the cannons or defeat the enemies.
Yeah, so
the bombs weren't that bad, so
Yeah, bombs were not bad. The hook shot, that was a bit.
So one thing that we noticed like really early on when you both did your respective Windfall trips was that J-Wist decided to pick up the Ghost Ship chart and Jim decided to skip Ghost Ship entirely. And so we were talking about for a lot of the seed, like I guess what that really like implicated, I guess, for the both of you. Like Jim, you had to go back to Forbidden Woods, and I was wondering like if you weighed like that decision between like going to the Ghost Ship versus just taking a double dip into FW.
No, yeah, I saw the Boomerang was behind Ghost Ship and I was just like, nope, not doing that.
No, poor Boomerang.
that's what I thought at first, but then it's like you go into Lenzos anyways, and that's where the Ghost Ship chart was.
Well, right, the Ghost Ship chart itself isn't very out of the way at all.
Yeah.
Or, well, in my route, it was kind of late, or it would have been late. I just didn't want to deal with it. I was like, I'll double dip Forbidden Woods. I have to work to Dragon Roost twice anyway, so.
Yeah, it's definitely like close on if it's worth it or not. I'm not sure to even.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, we're not sure either.
Yeah, we don't know.
It just heavily depends on when you pick up the chart and where the Ghost Ship will happen to be.
Yeah, because like the biggest time saves that I was thinking of, like that you get with it, is since you're coming from like the small key skip door, you you can just cut down instead of flying across that area. And then
Right.
obviously Cali demos, I don't have to do a chest storage strat or have hookshot for the boss key room, so it's not a double dip.
Yeah, and Kalademos is also faster if you have good boomerang throws.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other, this isn't necessarily like a very big difference, or at least it didn't end up being that big of a difference, but like Jay West opted to pick up the Skull Hammer in DRC, Gymnast opted to skip it. So I was just wondering like what the decision making there was.
You either get out of, I think it's just faster to get out of mini boss unless if you get first try storage.
Yeah, I actually forgot that you needed Skullhammer to get out of there, but I was like,
I was wondering.
We were wondering.
I was
Yeah,
like, well, that's okay. I can just do storage, so it's not a huge
Yeah.
deal.
It wasn't the end of the world, except for the fact that you were the first runner like in that room, and so you kind of stole Vanilla Hookshot's thunder a little bit there.
Ow. Yeah, Vanilla Hookshot definitely.
So rude.
It was
I know.
rough.
I so badly just wanted to hookshot L slide to get out of bounds in the big room, but no, I had to go get chest storage.
Yeah, oh, unfortunate, you know? How dare it?
Which chest did you store? I'm assuming the first one.
Well, I actually forgot about that until I got to the central room, so I just stored the chest in left alcove.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is the closest one that I can actually get to.
Yeah, other than that, you guys did just, very similar route, same dungeon order, etc. So not surprising.
You both picked up fairies at different spots, though. They're both at ends and dungeons. Just different dungeons.
If I would have known that I was gonna get the ghost ship at Diamond Step, I would have tried to get a fairy at Cabana. The top waterfall.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
the
The
RNG
RNG fairy. Oh man, that would have been interesting.
Yeah, if any people in chat have any questions for our runners, feel free to put the questions in the chat. If you guys have any other thoughts on the seed.
I made a couple pretty bad mental mistakes, but other than that, I played decently.
Yeah, Crystal and I were talking a little bit about that. Like the execution between you both, like we can't really think of any gameplay mistakes. Like all the storage was, good, right? It was just mainly mental errors.
Yeah, because I forgot to get mail at Bird's Peak Rock, and then
Oh, right, and so you had to get the
No,
mailbox
right,
at Thorn
yeah.
Fairy, yeah.
And then I forgot to mail or give Maggie Moblin's letter, so I didn't have fire arrows, and I was like, well, we gotta get fire arrows.
You kinda need those,
Yeah,
right?
we were talking about
You lined up to snipe the.
we were ready. You're ready, and we were really half expecting you to just line up a normal arrow at it.
Yeah, so somebody asked if you both took the full hour to plan the route, or if you guys were crunched for time in any way.
Well, okay, so I planned out my route, and I think I was over with it in about 40 minutes. I was like, okay, this seems like it'll be pretty good. But then, once I plan my route, I go over it, just in my head a few more times to try to catch if I missed anything. And 4 minutes before we started, I was like, wait, I didn't get command melody. But thankfully,
Oh no, you kind of need that.
thankfully it was
pretty convenient.
in a pretty good spot. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was super convenient. Just kind of that thing that you kind of you're like, oh yeah, command melee, I need that, and then you just forget about it until you're at the very end. You're like, oh right, I kind of need that. Where is it again?
Yeah, no, I was done for a while. I was timing a couple things before I started. I timed if it was faster to sail or to warp Greatfish and then go to the
Spire.
It's clearly faster to sail. The Rockspire, yeah, or not Rockspire. Stonewatcher platform.
Yeah. Oh, because you both spawned at Six Eye. Yeah.
At least I got to hookshot one platform.
Yeah.
the true victory. Hookshotting one of the many lookout platforms we went to.
Because like in these settings, normally you want to get hookshot early, but it just like did not work
Yeah.
out well.
Yeah, the hook shot saves like a really like a lot more time than I think we realize when it comes to rafts and lookout platforms.
Yeah, even
especially,
just like
not as
hookshotting your
bad
boat
as-
and stuff.
It's not
Yeah.
nearly as bad as SD though, because fast climbing.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Which shield did you get?
I got the one at 7-star.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, both were like pretty similar in time, but I felt like 7-star was probably just faster, especially if I did it when I already have hook shot.
Somebody has a question for Jim. What he thinks about the seed? Was it easy, hard in comparison to other seeds that you both have done?
I mean, execution-wise, I thought it was not too bad. I mean, lookout platforms and rafts, like it's not too hard to like get onto a platform and blow up some cannons and get your check for like the chest that spawns. So
Right.
like, especially in the beginning, it was just sail, get something, sail, get something.
Yeah, it was
just more
mostly just some of the items were just in unfortunate locations.
It was just very tedious. There wasn't anything that like stood out. Like there were no super hard tricks that you had to do, or anything like super special. I mean, I guess getting into mini boss early without hookshot, you don't see much, but
Somebody else is wondering. So, Jim, at the end of the seed, we noticed that you had 4 heart containers. Somebody was wondering if the heart container was random. I'm assuming it was just a random chest that you stored on accident. You're like, oh, 4 hearts.
Yeah, that was just the left alcove chest in Wind Temple, I think, had that.
oh,
Nice.
Did you take the key from Forbidden Woods?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I got the key in the central hub room of Wind Temple.
Oh, did you do that before the mini boss then?
Yeah, I got that before the mini boss.
Yeah. Because I just took because it was in Morph Pit in Forbidden Woods, so I was like,
Yeah, that's
Well,
pretty
I
close.
didn't want
Yeah,
to-
if the 2 small keys were like up at the top of Wind Temple, then that definitely would have been
yeah.
a better decision.
Because then you also just get to leaf right to the loading zone. I even
Yeah,
think
and-
about clipping back in bounds and then roll clipping out. But yeah, that's probably better. It's close.
Yeah, and we have somebody wondering what you both thought was your biggest mistake in this, since you both did incredibly well. Finish maybe seconds after, about seconds after each other.
There were a few execution mistakes that probably lost me like 20 seconds each. Like I missed one of the Mulgaris snipes. And when I got to Wind Temple and the revelation hit me that I didn't have the hook shot, I kind of like hesitated for a little bit, trying to figure out what the best chest to store was.
Yeah, for me, it's probably forgetting to give Moblin's letter. That probably lost about a minute. Because I left it, go to the transparent chest, and I had to go back.
Alrighty, but if that's everything, if you both can't think of anything else that you just want to say, any other thoughts, I think we can wrap things up here. So,
I don't think I have anything. No.
alrighty.
GG's again to
See
both
you
our runners.
tomorrow.
Yeah. See
Yeah,
you tomorrow.
GG.
Well, I mean, I don't think we're gonna be restreamed tomorrow, but
Probably not. But I'll
I
be
mean, you'll still see each other.
it's true. We'll eye each other in the race chat.
I'll watch your stream while I'm playing.
Oh my goodness.
You
Oh
are
my
allowed to
goodness
do that.
gracious.
It helps calm my nerves because you're not worried on if they're like in pup again. You just know.
I mean, I still don't look at other streams even in spoiler log. Or at least I haven't yet. I don't imagine I will. I don't know. I like the. I kind of like the excitement of not knowing, like whether or not I'm gonna like potentially win or not until I actually insert the sword into Ganondorf's cranium.
That is a way of putting it.
We both had pretty clean Papagannons from what I saw.
Yeah, both of you guys had pretty solid phase 1s, and then you both hit Crip shot on second phase. Phase 3 was pretty solid, so yeah. So thanks again, everybody, for watching, and for GG's again to both our runners, and thank you to our trackers, and thank you to SpeedGaming for allowing us to do this today.
So thank you for commentating with me, Haley.
Thank you, Crystal.
All right, but with that being said, we're gonna head off now. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day, and we'll see you all later with more spoiler log races.